So you've got a tile floor that looks like it's straight out of the 1980s time capsule and you're ready for a change, but ripping it out, that's expensive and time consuming. So what do? You paint it. Today I'm going to show you how to give your tile floor a totally new look without the hassle of replacing it. But if you don't follow these steps carefully, you could end up with a peeling, cracking mess. Let's dive in to create this beautiful marble look on a really tiny budget. So we're standing in the entryway of my new home and it is actually a really good size. I'm so happy with it because in our old house, we literally had no entryway. So the only problem with this right now is the floors. So the floors are really dated and I'm not really sure of this pattern. It's got a border and then some inset tiles too, but I want to make it look a lot more my style, which is a bit more organic, modern. I'm gonna try painting it. So I think this is gonna be a really fun, budget-friendly project that anyone can do with literally no DIY tools required. You just need paint. Before you even think about painting, you have to deep clean the floor. Any dirt, grease, or soap scum can prevent the paint from sticking. Because I just painted the walls and the ceiling, I have a lot of little paint on the floor, and that's fine. I just need to make sure I get it off because if I leave it like this, then when we paint the floor, it will be bumpy. I will also have to vacuum again. All right, we're ready to start painting the floor and I'm so excited. This is the kit I'm using. It's the Rust-Oleum floor kit. So this kit is actually really great because it comes with everything you need in one little box. So you've got your paint color, okay? You've got the top coat, so you want to make sure you seal the floors too. And it also comes with a cleaner, so you can make sure your floors are really clean so the paint really sticks to it. And the best part about it is you don't need to sand or prime the floor. The kit comes with a degreaser, so make sure you scrub your floor like you mean it and then clean it up with clean water. Next, tape up all the edges, especially where the tile meets the wall, and any grout lines you might want to keep. I'm actually going to be painting over all my grout lines, so I didn't do that. Another reason I love this kit is that you can actually tint it to lots of different colors, so I'm going to be using white and then a gray color as well. Now for the fun part. Finally, we paint. So I'm going in with a brush and just working around all the edges of the room and around any vents as well. Take your time and do all the brushwork and try not to get too many streaks on the floor as well. Grab your roller and an extension pole. This is really important to actually paint the floor. So we want to do thin coats and we want to work ourselves out of the room because you don't want to be stepping on wet paint. That would be horrible. So remember, it's always good to do multiple thin coats rather than one thick coat, which would probably just peel off. I noticed after my first coat that all the grout lines were still showing, so this is where I went in with a paintbrush and actually had to fill them all in. This is a little bit tedious, but you want to make sure that you're going to be getting a uniform base color. Let the first coat dry. Remember, patience is key. Then, when it's dry, go in with a second coat for full coverage. Okay, so we're on to day 2 of the floor and it really looks good. The only thing I would say is if you have places where there's no grout or it's not been filled correctly, you're not gonna be able to paint that. So I'm hoping that once the design comes together, we'll blend a bit more. Day 2 of painting the floor and it actually already looks so good. So I gave it a nice 3 coats of white and now we're on to doing a little checkerboard pattern. Think about where you want to start your pattern. I want to start mine right in front of the door so that when people walk in, it looks really symmetrical. You might also want to start it in the middle of the room. So I'm gonna use this yellow frog tape. So this is the kind of tape that you use when your floors or walls are fresh, so it doesn't actually peel up the floor when I take off the tape. Okay, so there's gonna be another diamond shape down here. So in order for me to tape it, I actually need to get rid of this because this has to have paint on it. So I'm taking my X-Acto knife and just very, very gently cutting it because I don't wanna chip any of the paint. So you're just making a very small score line. Really gentle, not a lot of pressure. And then I'm gonna peel it up. Again, just really gently. If you press on this side, it helps or prevents it from fully peeling up. Let's see. Okay, to do any of these partial tiles, you're gonna take your straight edge and you're actually gonna line it up to this line here because I can't tell where the tile is gonna end here. So I'm just gonna take it, line it up like this, and then draw the line, and then I can tape here. Same thing other side. So lining it up to here, okay, and then taping it. I'm gonna be honest with you, the checkerboard pattern took me so much longer than I anticipated because you have to think about what side of the line you're putting the tape on. Time to paint the checkerboard pattern. After hours of taping down the floor, it's finally time to paint them. So I'm using the Rust-Oleum kit still. So you can actually get the Rust-Oleum paint tinted to a lot of different colors. So I'm using one called Icy Grey because I want this to look like a marble pattern, like a white and gray checker. So I have this tinted and now we can apply it. And I put the tape on the ones that I'm not painting. So all the ones that are blank are the ones that I'll be actually painting. So you just want to start with your brush first and work along the edges. And when you're ready, then you can grab your small roller and fill them in. Yeah, those tedious grout lines, they're back. You're going to have to paint them all by hand too. We're gonna try the marbling on the floor now. It already looks really good and I'm a little bit nervous I might mess this up, but remember, you can always paint it back to a solid color if the marbling's not going as you thought. Okay, so there's a few different techniques to this, but you basically just need like a bunch of different brushes, okay? And then I have my paint watered down, so this is the same paint with just a tiny bit of water added. And then I'm using some paint as well, like this, and a sponge. Okay, so then we'll just go for the technique. Okay, so you just want to keep a very loose hand. That's the thing you have to remember is you need a loose hand. So I will start with some paint and you just want like your hand to be very light. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take another brush and I'm just going to kind of soften it and doing the marbling is kind of like being an art class. You just want to play with it and get a feel for how you can make it look the way you want. You can go with a heavier, bolder line. You can go with something lighter. I didn't want anything too bold, so I did a lot of fluffing out of the bold lines. So that's all I'm gonna do for this tile. Okay. I've been at this for an hour, and so this is what I've done so far. So definitely a time-consuming process, but it's actually really fun and looks really good. The more tiles I did, the faster I got, and I found that I actually would look at other tiles in the area to make sure that the design was the same, but the veins were going in different directions just to make it look more realistic. Let the veining sit for like an hour and it looks so good. I'm gonna do the tape pull and I'm really nervous that like nothing peels off, like the base coat. Fingers crossed. As I'm starting to pull the tape off, I actually kind of like the way just the plain white tiles look too. So you could also just stop at this point, but I knew I wanted to go all in to make it look like marble. Here's a mistake I made. I accidentally actually pulled off all the tape that I painted around the perimeter and the baseboards. Leave these on because you're gonna also do a top seal at the end and you don't want any of that to get on your baseboards or on the surrounding floor. So if you find that you have done you just changed like how you tape some of the lines, it actually doesn't erase with an eraser, so you have to go in and paint it. Now I'm repeating the process of the marbling on the white tiles with the gray. One last layer of top coat and then this entire flooring project is done. So I just applied one last night, and if you want to do a second coat, you're supposed to do within 24 hours. So I'm going to do that and then we can do a big reveal. Just like we did with the base coat, we're going to go in with a brush first and paint the perimeter of the room. Protecting your hard work is so important, so a clear, durable top coat will keep your paint job looking fresh and protect it from wear and tear. See, this is why I said I shouldn't have pulled off all the tape off the baseboards, but make sure you learn from my mistakes. Ta-da! Check out this. From outdated to updated, my tile floor looks like $1,000,000. Not only does this faux marble tile look amazing, but it costs a fraction of what you'd spend on new tile. Not to mention, there's no mess and no power tools needed. This is totally refreshed. If you like this video and want to see more budget-friendly DIYs, hit that like button and subscribe. And if you've got any questions, drop them down in the comments. I'll see you next time and keep DIYing.